Good evening, and thanks for coming out tonight. It's nice to see some familiar and friendly faces in the crowd. It certainly takes away some of the public speaking jitters. My name is Jay Boland, and I currently serve on the Loganville City Council. I'm your public safety chairman. I have 4 children, 27, 25, 20, and 12, and I'm married to my wife, Wendy, who I'm sure before the night's over will have one. Folks, I love this city, which is why 6 years ago I decided to get involved and run for office. During my time on council, I have been fortunate to work alongside current and former councilmen and women, mayors both past and present, and gotten to know many longtime residents of this city, some of whom have served on council or other committees. I also want to mention the employees of our city and the department heads who do such a great job and who are always available to answer questions. One of my neighbors once asked me why I did city council, and I told him, so you don't have to. He's a younger guy with 3 little ones and another on the way. He helps out with our HOA, so he wants to do his part. He said, what do you mean, Jay? I said, you focus on your family and job. I've got your back. I'm self-employed, 3 of my kids are grown, and I have the time to serve our city. And that's what I want the voters and residents of this great city to know. I have your back. Am I perfect? Nope. But as I have said in this very room many times, and I probably should put it on a bumper sticker, I'm not here to be right, I'm here to get it right. I want to lead through the windshield, not the rearview mirror, which brings me to downtown development. We have spoken to over 24 developers, and while it may seem we are moving at a snail's pace, this is because this is a decision that should take time, as it will impact the long-term future of our city. The redevelopment project will serve as a focal point for the future of Loganville. Which leads me next to everyone's favorite subject, and the number one thing I get asked about when I run into the citizens at the grocery store or at the park: traffic. Local roadways are governed by the GDOT, the state, not the city. And those who have attended council sessions know that when big traffic issues arise, I always put the email and phone number up on these screens. I've asked people to take the time to write, email, and call. The Walton Tribune, our local paper, also lists all local and county officials, and I will continue to urge residents to reach out and let your voices be heard. That said, over the last 18 months, we have had several state officials out here and had very productive talks that I believe have finally put Loganville on the radar. In closing, I'll say, for 6 years, I have worked towards a better reality for the citizens of Loganville. And with your support, I hope to spend another 4 years working together towards a brighter future for Loganville. Thank you.
Don't know if I'm doing this right. Okay. Hi, my name is Misty Cox. My husband, 5 children. I have one that is 16, 14, 13, 12, and 11. And I have been residents in Loganville for about 10 years. 4 of them have been in the city limits. All my children attend the Loganville schools. This is where they have been raised, and Loganville is what they call home. I have worked in the senior living industry for 4 years. I worked my way up from being a caregiver to the director of memory care. I took the past year off from my career to assist my husband and his business partner. I call him my chosen uncle, who is actually in the audience tonight, in starting their business. They are a year old, I think, today. So, congratulations. They are both in the audience tonight. My young ones aren't here because they said it's going to be boring. So I was like, okay, well, if you don't want to come, that's fine. My husband and I were involved with one of the local youth football and cheerleading associations a few years back. And this is what gave me the spark to start serving my community. 2 years ago, I met Ray Martinez, which is our current mayor, and during his campaign, I was working at Southern Plantation, so of course he was in there a lot. I saw his passion and his love for the community, and that made me feel that I'm not doing enough. I need to do more. So that's why I'm running for city council. I want to be a voice for the residents. I want to see Loganville be vibrant. I want it to thrive. I want my children to raise their children. I want y'all's children to raise their children, and from generations from here on out to actually call Loganville home.
A lot of you out there are familiar faces to me, as I've been on the council for the past 4 years. I have lived in Loganville. My husband and I, Freddie, have lived in Loganville for 23 years. We have 2 grown children that also live in Loganville. My years that I've had to work on the council, I have learned a lot and appreciate how the city government works. We're not always fast, but we always try to do the best that we can. I was chairperson of Public Works, which does a big part for the city. A lot of things that they do, people don't even know that they're involved in. But when we have any kind of events, they set things up, they take things down, they empty the trash, they just play a big part in the role of the city. In the 4 years that I have been on council, I have only missed one council meeting, and that was due to the illness of my family. I take my job very seriously. I try to be at all the events that we have. I try to go to the ribbon cuttings. I try to meet and greet people when I'm out and about. And I try to be at my concerts, and if you haven't been to one, you need to come. It's lots of fun. And I don't have a 3-minute speech. I just am simple and plain and here to win your vote. Thank you.
So we're in the heart of Bulldog country, not very far from Athens, and I grew up in Gainesville, which is not too far away. And up until about 1984, I was pretty much a Bulldog fan. And then in 1984, in the fall of that, I got my SAT scores and kind of started thinking about what I was going to do for the rest of my life. And come around March of '85, I got acceptance to Georgia Tech, and that's where I went to school. So I spent about 5 years there studying civil engineering, and as I progressed through civil engineering and got closer to graduation, my passion really became structural engineering. It's a kind of a portion of civil. So at that point I decided, it's best for me to move on, do my master's degree and focus on structural engineering. So I practiced civil engineering for 28 years now, and for 26 years I've served the Georgia DOT. My experience with Georgia DOT has been concentrated on bridge design, bridge maintenance, and bridge inspection. And I am currently the state bridge engineer. I've also I've led steering committees nationally to develop research that's led to codes that we use nationally for bridges. And I currently stand on several state and national committees. I lead an office of nearly 100 employees. This is all the bridge design. So I've got bridge design where we're basically designing bridges, other highway structures like overhead signs, retaining walls, that type of thing. But also we for the last, I'm choked up a little. So for the last 13 years, basically, if there's been a bridge that's been designed by our DOT forces or by our consultants, it's crossed my desk because I've reviewed it. And that's a part of what I do. But also what we have 14,800 bridges in the state, and our inspectors go out and inspect those bridges every 2 years. That information is fed back in. We have different levels of engineers that review that and get stored back in our system. And we do that, we inspect those bridges every 24 months. It's a lot of assets to take care of. Excuse me, my wife and I have been married for 28 years now. I would love to introduce Stephanie to you tonight, but she's not with us. Not with us now. So she's with my daughter Maggie this morning. Maggie is at medical. She's in labor, been in labor all day long. So as soon as this is over, I'm going to be hitting the road. Anyway, we do have 4 children and 3 grandchildren, maybe 4 very shortly. We lived here in Loganville for 13 years. My son-in-law works for the Gwinnett Sheriff's Office. He just was promoted to sergeant today, so that was another exciting thing. Anyway. I hope that I want to be more active and participant in the community, and I believe my skill set with civil engineering should help me if I become working on city council.
Well, I've lived in Loganville for almost 9 years. I started this journey to run for office when I came to meet old Mayor Dan Corey. I have an issue with my bill. I scheduled a meeting with him, with Dan. Met them in the office, have a discussion with them, and I was telling them about how I felt about the city. This is my city, this is where I want to live till the end of the time, whatever the time is, and a lot of changes need to occur in the city. I was talking to Dan Corey, the mayor, and he said, why don't you run for the office? You have a lot of ideas, and we can sure use you. I said, sure I can. Where do I start? He asked me, we talked to them over there and signed on. 2017, I ran for city council. When I came out, I was not interested in this type of forum. I just felt like I got to go talk to the people. I know what they feel. I know their passion. I know what they need. So I was out there talking to them all around Loganville. Over that period of time, I've met a lot of residents in Loganville. And based on the way they respond to me, really makes me want to come back and run again. I live on Tara off Highway 81. I'm the one that get the petition to get that road fixed. One of my issues was to get our road fixed. When I came, the mayor told me Highway 81, 20, 78, they are all state road, we can touch it. I had to get the petition and send it to Gainesville, and they came, look at it, and they fixed that road. That kind of got me going, that I can really make a lot of difference in this city called Loganville. And ever since then, I've been doing so much. When the light is not working, I've called the mayor office, want to know how we can fix it. Tell me, call Walton EMC, we get to fix it. And I kept working for the city for the past few years.
Can you lean forward and speak into the mic? They can't hear you.
Oh, okay.
Is it on?
So ever since then, I've been all over Loganville trying to see what I can do to make a difference. Every time I hear from the city and the people that serve in the office, they always say, it's taking too long, we can't touch this. I work for a technology company we don't have, we can't touch. We always have to have an alternative to every situation. I live here in Loganville, my kids are grown, I have 3 children, married to a law enforcer, and I've been here since then all around to make a difference.
Question 1 is name 3 areas the city of Loganville could focus on to improve life for its residents.
Traffic. I think downtown development is another big area. I like what Lawrenceville's doing. Big with work, live, play. I'd like to be able to go to downtown and have a variety of different restaurants that are not chain restaurants to visit. Places the kids to go as well. I think that's what I got for that.
Agree with everything that he just said. Our biggest issue is traffic. I don't have to say that, he doesn't have to say that. Everyone knows if you want to go anywhere in Loganville at any time during the day, you're gonna sit in traffic. So that's a big one. Again, the downtown development, I know it started with the town green, and that is a wonderful thing. I think it can only get better from there. And the other one is recreation. I think recreation for not just our youth, but also our senior citizens. I would like to see more things accessible for our seniors as well as our youth.
Yes, I think one of the things that we need to always consider for our citizens of Loganville is to make sure that we maintain and keep a good fire department and police department. In the past, we have lost people because the salaries were not what other cities paid. And thanks to Jay and the other council members, we were able to get salary increases for our police and fire department. So I think that's one thing that we need to always remember, to keep our people safe. Also, I would like for us to be able to live, play, and work in our city of Loganville. And one way that we do this is by events that we have, which we already have a lot of events, and people can go and enjoy these events, and spend time with their families, and not have to worry about not being safe downtown. The other thing is we need to create more parks so the families can have a place to take their small children. I know we have a park out here in the city of Loganville, and they play there all the time.
Thank you, city has been more of a destination, and I'm sure as the downtown develops, I'm hoping that will be more attractive to people, keeping residents in town, but also give other people the opportunity to come visit us. Certainly a more pedestrian access, friendly downtown as well. I think that's certainly, I like the pedestrian friendly access I have in my neighborhood, but I like to have my neighborhood be able to connect to other areas. Certainly with the, we've reached our SO2 rating last year or so with our public safety and keeping content on, keeping focus on that good quality public safety, I think is a great thing.
The city is growing very well. We need to focus on the road congestion, the traffic. We can work with the state to, reduce the congestion. And the second one is to have a place where the children can really go and play. I know we have few places in Meridian and churches. We need somewhere where kids can just go and play. And the third one is our taxes, property tax, we need to find a way of bringing it down. Those are the three items that can make life good for people.
Question 2, do you see a need to manage the growth, especially the new housing in Loganville? How would you do that?
I do feel that we need to manage the growth. It's going to happen. The city of Loganville is a small area, so the more people that come in, the more we're going to need public safety. The more we're going to need, certain things. How I would do that, I'm not sure. I would have to research, other places, how they dealt with the growth and things like that. So I don't want to comment on that because I don't really know much about how to handle that.
As long as our Loganville city continues to grow, we're going to have more traffic. And as we have more traffic, we have more problems. But we want our city to grow. We don't want it to stay the way it is. We want everybody here, I hear all the time, we want more restaurants, we want more shops, we want more places to go that we can spend time here in Loganville. And I think that if we have more houses, we'll have to work with the DOT to keep our traffic under control as best as we can.
I think we have an opportunity to manage our growth somewhat, and that's really handled through, and what I would seek to look for people like our city manager, Danny Roberts, and our planning and zoning committee to see what plans they have in store for us, and what they've seen, and if we need additional resources, potentially it might be good to look at a planning study for our area. And I don't know if there's one been done, but that's kind of where I would focus.
We can manage the growth by providing new faces in the city hall to help manage, the growth. If we have the same old people there, it's going to be same old. As the city grows, you need a fresh mind to help channel the energy on how we need to manage, how we deal with the challenge.
Thank you, bro. Let me rephrase that. The city is partially in Gwinnett County, so we're going to see that growth. And we have great schools. Last month, the city council passed a moratorium on new home construction. Now, that doesn't cover the few hundred that we have already on the books, but we have moratorium so we can put some new regulations in so we're getting the right growth.
That the city council made or didn't make that you would do differently and why?
Well, the first thing that pops to my mind is the past month or so, we had an issue come up about our liquor sale in downtown Loganville as well as the city of Loganville. And the council voted to have everything 75-25, 75 liquor, 25 food. Well, after the vote was done, I voted against that, and one of my other colleagues did too. And after the vote was done, one of our council members decided that maybe that wasn't the right thing to do. So he brought it back to the city, and we were able to put it back to the council, and we were able to vote on it again. And what we voted on that time was to change it back to the way it was, 50-50 outside the city limits, outside Main Street, and 75-25 on Main Street. So the thing about being on the city council and ordinances, you can always bring it back to the council and make a better decision if you think you make the right one.
I don't have any decision. I can't answer anything.
Okay, thank you.
I don't know any decision that they have made, but I do know every time there's an issue that has to do with the road congestion, the city always defy to the state and say, we can touch it, we can do anything about it. They can actually work with our state representative, to help us, get to the congestion and fix that road. The notion of we can touch it, it's a state road, it's not acceptable. Thank you.
I've been doing this 6 years and I'm glad I didn't start with me because I'm a little stumped. What is one decision or action that a city council made? I remember when I first started, I threw a fit, ironically enough, as a public safety chairman, not then, over the tag readers. And I think if I had to do it again, I would have been a little bit more open-minded. So there you go.
Thank you.
I had the privilege of sitting in the audience at a lot of the city council meetings, and they don't take it lightly. I've heard them go back and forth, yes here, no there, yes, let's do this. So I know that they take in consideration every single thing. So I can't really say if I would do something different because I don't know why they do what they do, but they do it purely based on what is right for the city. So I think that they do a perfect job, and I don't have anything that I would change or anything.
Done to address the traffic issue in Loganville.
Earlier, our city manager has been working with Kevin Little, who is our Walton County chairman, the Department of Transportation, the Georgia DOT, which Bill works for. They've been working with them to improve our traffic lights and to improve some of our major intersections, such as C.S. Floyd and 81. And we have a bid for that now, so it shouldn't be long before we'll start seeing something done down there. As long as our citizens want more distance, more places to shop, there will be traffic. That is something that none of us like, but it's also something that is not going to go away.
Mr. Duval.
Sir, certainly there are projects that are coming along. There's projects along I-20, State Route 20 coming up to town, and there's other intersection projects that are moving along. There's interim solutions that you can do. I mean, we even talked about them when we had our debate the other day, our Village Place, and Linda said something. But I think what I could do is help work with the DOT and work through some of the issues and look for maybe not the full cost solution, but maybe a good let's say interim solution. If you've got a project coming along that may not be here for several years, but we have information on what it's going to be, maybe we can make a decision and make improvements now.
Yeah, like I mentioned earlier on, we can work with the state legislature to work with the DOT to fix the congested road, and we can also introduce, several, way to, maximize the level of traffic, something like a roundabout, delaying the stop sign at certain location, traffic light extended, the time a traffic light goes on in certain location that are not too busy, and also, we can have, not to make certain turn at certain time of the day based on the type of audience that you're dealing with. Some senior, they live in certain area where it become heavily traffic at certain time, perhaps from 4 to 6. So maybe we can do not make a left turn at certain area. That will make life easy for them.
And that man right there, Danny Roberts, our city manager, have done a remarkable job in getting the DOT to take us seriously. Danny just handed me a paper before the forum tonight. We're making improvements out here at C.S. Floyd and Lawrenceville Highway. It also looks like, I'm told, that in front of Loganville High School, we're also going to address that light. And in just a brief meeting with Danny, he informed me that we're looking to add some more lights. I'm a big roundabout guy, but I'm going to kind of stay in my lane on this one. But I will tell you, they've done a great job, Mayor and Danny Roberts, and I think we all should be really thankful for that.
Fortunately, a lot of the traffic issue, it goes back to the DOT. So we're at their mercy. So that's all I have for that one.
Thank you, Ms. Dodd. Redevelopment of the downtown area, what do you think needs to be included in this project?
I'm I'm not sure what they have in their pipeline, but something that look more like a mini amusement park where the family can go there with their children to play should be included as part of the development.
Thank you.
I like the fact that I can go to McRae's on a Sunday afternoon and have a Bloody Mary. I like the fact that they have a restaurant where I can take my wife on date night. I like the fact that they have a comic book shop I can take my son to. Live, work, play. That's what I like. That's what I think we should.
Ms. Cox?
I agree with Jay. I think that, you know, Loganville has a lot of young families. We have a lot of young families that are wanting to move in. Having said that, I think that downtown should accommodate our seniors as well as our young ones. To do that, you know, I think it should be more inviting, more walkable. I would love to be able to park somewhere and walk and have a shop, a book shop to take my children in. You know, a small restaurant after we're done shopping to go in there, or an ice cream shop to take them to get ice cream. So again, just like they said.
See a new city hall. I would like to see our library moved to Main Street at some point in time. I would also like to see some retail shops, boutiques, and sidewalk cafes. Maybe even rooftop restaurants that Jody was talking about that they have in Larsville. It would also be nice to have a way for us to be able to walk around the city, and also parking, because that's a big issue downtown right now. I also would like to see us have things that will attract more people into our city and that they will want to live, work, and play here.
So I'd love to see what's going to come in for us, but I'd love to see our green space expanded, you know, some more, and the ability to have opportunity for playgrounds for kids. Love the opportunity for have a walking environment and a place to come, so I don't have to leave and go to Monroe or Lawrenceville or Gwinnett or Suwanee or something. You know, I just want a place that's more inviting to bring my wife and family.
Thank you. City Council is pushing a new city hall at a cost of $40 million. They have begun threatening eminent domain on some of our citizens. If elected, where do you stand on eminent domain? Also, what are your thoughts on spending $40 million on a new city hall when we just spent $3 million on the current city hall, which you are not even fully utilizing?
I am against eminent domain. I can't comment on the numbers here because that's the first I've seen numbers like that. I don't know what else to tell you. That's just how it is. These numbers surprise me. I don't like eminent domain.
I'm gonna plead the fifth on this one as well. I don't know much about the whole question, so I can't make a real educated comment about it.
The cost for the city hall may be $40 million, it may be less than that. Right now, there's nothing in the works that says what the cost of city hall is going to be if we go to a new city hall. About the intimate domain, yes, I am for that, only when we absolutely have to. If we want developers to come into our town and there are certain properties that they want, you wouldn't want to have have a downtown area built with shops and restaurants, and now all of a sudden have a house sitting in the middle of it. And I don't know that they would want their house sitting in the middle of it in the wrong one. And I do know that we as a city council will not do that unless it's absolutely necessary.
Cost of the building and a type of city hall, I have no idea. I can tell you what a bridge costs and estimate what that is. But so, you know, I won't get there. As far as eminent domain, certainly, you know, I build bridges and occasionally we have to take property in order to do the good for the public. And it's a little bit different when you start talking about taking a downtown piece of property. So I think I'm not so totally against it. It just depends on where it is and what the situation is. So I would have to see the entire scope of it.
Yeah, I don't think they should take people's property just because they want to have some development, unless the owner of the property really agree or want to leave the property. I should not think, because they want to build a new look, they should have to take people's property. Also, 40 million is a lot of money to want to spend. We can spend it on a lot of issues, on a lot of things that affect people. So I don't think it's a proper way of spending our tax-paying money. Thank you.
Say to address a concern by a resident that the water rate in Loganville is too high.
As far as the city council members go, it would be our responsibility to listen to that resident's concern. Take that concern to the appropriate department that it needs to go to. I can't sit there and tell them, oh, your water rate was too high. Well, okay, well, I'm gonna get it lowered. You can't do that. So I would have to, of course, listen to their concern, hear them out, and do what I could do to possibly, either to put them in the right place where they actually need to go and who need to hear what they're saying.
I would agree that we do have high water rates. However, our city manager and the city of Monroe and Walton County are working on 2 water lines to come into Loganville. The money we save by not having to use water from Gwinnett County will help pay for these water lines. Our rates and tap fees are tied into our bonds, and therefore, that is the reason we cannot lower water rates.
Sure, it's, we do not have our own supply of water other than to purchase it from Gwinnett County, Monroe, or potentially Walton County. And I believe Danny Roberts and his team are trying to do the best they can to balance what those costs are. So there's nowhere else that we have our own water source.
Well, I've lived in Loganville for 9 years, and my water bill has always been very consistent. There's only one situation where my water bill went up. I came to the city hall, and then between the mayor and the city manager, they kind of look into it, and I've never had any issues since then. So if there's a little spike on the water, I don't know, but based on what I know, the water rate that I'm paying, it's okay, for the city.
I was the Public Utilities Chairman, and I worked under Chris Yancey, who's an absolute genius and the treasurer the city has. And he told me once, water is gold. And quite frankly, Gwinnett County's getting a little cranky with their water. Anybody who's been attending these will tell you, we've gone over this before. Just to touch on what Councilwoman Dodd had mentioned, we, in 2018, approved a bond for $14.2 million to be used on a sewer plant expansion, transmission water line with Monroe that will allow us 1 million gallons daily and up to 3 million gallons daily. We built a 500,000 gallon water reuse water system for irrigation, and as Linda mentioned, we're working with Walton County to make a second connection that would allow another 1 billion gallons daily. So we're trying to get ahead of it.
In the city of Loganville, I would like to know, how do you plan on lowering event sponsorships in the city to attract more vendors to participate in city activities such as the concert series, 4th of July fireworks show, fall festivals, etc.?
Well, I think we have an event coordinator, and I think she does an excellent job getting sponsorships that cover our events, that cover our concerts, cover a lot of our other events that we have. This year, most of you know that we had our 4th of July. We partnered with Walton County, and they allowed us to use their park to have our 4th of July celebrations done. The Fall Festival is also headed up by our events coordinator, and she does an excellent job. So I think that we are doing a really good job as far as getting people to support and to sponsor our events that we have in Loganville.
Thank you. Mr. Duval?
Christy said that she has had 29 events this year, which I think is phenomenal. As far as how those are funded and the participation, I haven't seen the sponsorships, but I don't know offhand what we could do to lower cost of them or lower the contribution.
Well, I don't know too much about how to fund the event that they have in the city. But I think there should be some money set on the side. If we're thinking about building 40 million city hall, we can at least sponsor a vendor that want to promote their small business in the city. I mean, there can be an exception where somebody cannot afford it. You can help them out because that's why the small business, they're trying to grow, The city can absorb that cost,
There's no $40 million city hall. I want to get that out of the way. This is the second project tonight that I'm left stumped because I've never in 6 years heard anybody complain about our prices. I just was at the concert last Friday night, it was packed. The Fall Festival's packed. The 4th of July Festival, we had a couple thousand people. The Carnival, and it was rain shortened, but I don't really know what to say to these questions because I've never heard of them before.
Don't shoot the messenger.
My husband, like I said, he actually owns a business in the city of Loganville. I have not seen a sponsorship form. I don't know what the rate is or how much they charge for it. But personally, and this is completely my opinion, I don't think it would be, anything that they would want, I don't think it would be too much. Because our family loves Loganville, so if that would help Loganville put on a concert or do a fireworks show or a festival, my husband and I would be all for it.
Thank you. About term limits for city council members and why. The order will
I don't see a need for term limits for council members. Where it's a nonpartisan election, it's open. I've looking back over the last few years, and there seems like to be a fair amount of turnover. Whereas if you look at a national level where you have partisanship and it's just that's different. If I was running for Congress, I'd say term limits, but not.
Mr. O'Wally.
So I disagree with Mr. DeVos, There should be a time limit, so when you're there, you do the best you can to make a difference. When you sit in an office for too long, then you become complacent. When you know your time is going to be over, you want to do something that make you stand out. And the more we have a fresh mind, the more we can grow and do better. When you sit there and keep doing the same old, you're not going to get any good result after that period of time. So there should be a time limit.
Some people out there have been in here for a long time and have seen the battles we have had over this very question. I believe the people will determine my term limit. I think if this was Washington, it'd be a different story. Me and Councilman Belials have gone round and round about it, the mayor, and the mayor's gone round and round with Skip about it. But I just will say, I believe the citizens will determine my term limit.
Probably not hear this much. I actually agree with Vinny. I agree with term limits. I believe that once you're there for a while, you can get burnout. Burnout's not good for anyone, especially a community. I think that new perspective can be a good thing. And it goes back to experience. I've heard someone mention that this election is about experience. Well, for someone who's new, how do I get that experience if you're not allowing me because there are no term limits? That's my.
Like I said, we've had this discussion on council many times about term limits. My view, when it was brought up, I did not agree with term limits. I think as city council people, when you're on the city council, I think that when you have felt like that you have contributed to your city and done what you can do, then I think you as a city council member need to make that decision on your own, whether you want to run again for another term or whether you want to call it quits at the end of your term.
Thank you.
I've been here for almost 1 hour now, and every time I talk about the road congestion. I would like to walk in that area.
I never lose public safety because I love the guys and gals over there.
actually, if I was elected, I want to do planning and zoning. I don't know much about it, so that would be one of my main reasons is I want to know. I want to know what's coming into our city. I want to know why they want to come in here. I want to know it all. So that would be the one that I would want to serve on.
Ms. Dodd?
Right now, I am committee chairman for Public Works, and Public Works does a great job for the city. But I would like to work on planning and zoning. I was on the Planning and Zoning Commission Board for 2 years. Our leader, Janice Tribble, has got a lot of knowledge. I learned a lot while I was on that committee. And I would like to be on that committee if I get to be reelected.
Mr. Duval?
Sure. Public utilities and transportation is combined, and that's kind of, I think, would be my first desire, would be public utilities and transportation.
My opening statement is also my closing statement. I think what I said to kick things off is what I want you to take away from tonight's forum. I love the city. I'm so proud to serve the citizens of the city and how I believe the future is bright for all of us moving forward. But we have to have the right people in place making these decisions over the next 4 years. I believe I have what it takes to represent the city and the challenges that face us in the coming months and years ahead. Please make sure to vote for Jay Boland in the upcoming election. My family, your family, we're all in this together, folks. If anyone has any questions, feel free to talk to me afterwards. And one last thing. She mentioned pay raises for the police. I just wanted to, we didn't give them raises. What happened was we were losing good officers and firefighters to other cities. So we got together to stop that flow of loss, and we gave them a bump in starting salary. So we're not giving out raises, we just had to compete with other cities.
That's what I did.
So we've stemmed that, and everybody's good.
Thank you to the candidates.
Like I said in the beginning, I want Loganville to be vibrant and thriving. I want it to be a balanced city with recreation for all of our citizens, young and old. I'd like to see Loganville be a destination town, not a pass-through town. I feel we have too many families in here that live here for it to be just a pass-through town. If elected, I promise you to be strategically objective. We're not always going to agree on everything, but I will do what's best for Loganville and its citizens. So I ask for your support and would like for you all to come out November 5th and vote for me.
Being on Public Works Committee, I have been able to help get our new equipment for our public workers to use, a chipper truck and a claw truck for our workers to use. I have also worked with Jay on getting pay raises for our police and fire departments so that they.
So certainly this is all new to me as well. I lived at Pines and Terra, I've been there for 13 years. I've been on the HOA board and Architectural Control Committee over, I don't know how many years, 7, 8 years, I guess. I've also been involved in scouting. I'm an Eagle Scout, and I've been in scouting throughout my adulthood, being chaplain, charter rep, den leader, and troop committee chair. And those things have kind of passed me. I mean, my youngest is 20 now. He's moving to college. And so I really looked at this as an opportunity for me to do something for our community. I think I have a skill set that would be a benefit to this community, and certainly want to take part. And I hope that I have the opportunity to work with City Council.
Much for inviting me to this event. I really appreciate it, and I thank you all for coming here. Early vote start October 14th to November the 1st. Go vote for me. We need a change, and we need a change very fast. The city is growing every day, and we have the same old, same old. This is the time where we need to stop it. My name is Femi Oduwole. I live here in Loganville. This is my home. Thank you.